it is not simple to be a mother. It's not easy for everybody all the time. And we're going to get to this doubting self. But first, let me just give the initial stage to the mother, which is an energy and could be given through male, through the father. Listen, don't get me started on how we all have a little bit of both in us, and we can be what embodies that mother energy. So, Mother's Day, tender, joyful, complicated, painful, super messy, and all of the above, plus things I haven't even added to that list. So, for all the people that mother others, this is the shout out to us, because this could be a caregiver, a mentor. Remember, Tamara said, is it a coach? And I thought, oh my gosh, teachers, ministers, who has given that nurturing, here it is, loving energy that sees beyond your idea of yourself? Who sees you beyond your own limited, embodied, fearful self in the moment? Who sees the real you, that seed that has yet to fully sprout, that nurtures that higher vision of you when you can't see it for yourself? That's the mother. Now, we are here to honor the real love about life, the real love that has been entered or given to us through the mother energy, and it also includes the doubting self. And yes, the doubting self needs to come out from behind the stage into its debut. Just like that debutante ball where it's time to come out. I'm old enough to come out and be seen by society. Same is true for our doubting self. Let's give her some stage presence. Because real love, it does not require perfection. No. All it needs is presence. So we get this presence. We get this doubting self out in front. And let's talk about it. So the title, Debuting the Doubting Self. Well, I know that you have probably heard the word faith a lot. Faith. And for all of my colleagues, friends, community members who might have been raised in a very traditional spirituality where there was a lot of dogma plus some self-improvement, some sort of mostly dogma, but a little bit of how to live your life in a better way that serves others. Mostly dogma. Like the word faith could give you the prickles on your neck. So that's a problem sometimes, being a new thought minister, trying to talk to people about faith, because they just get these images that come up. But, and let's not even say that 3-letter word, God, how sometimes people have, then they're like, oh, you had me until you said God, because some of us have been sort of, beat over the head with this dogma. So I get it. When I say faith, though, I'm really talking about something else, something that's not, well, let's just call it what it is. It's not certainty. You see, faith and certainty are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Some people think that faith and doubt are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Like I don't know about you, but depending on how you were raised, and I went to a bunch of different type of churches, so I don't even know. Well, I went to Catholic school. I can't tell you where this came from. But when I tell you that if you raised your hand and asked Sister Mary Catherine a question, had you doubting the whole situation that they were trying to explain, you were not supposed to raise your hand and doubt anything. You were supposed to nod and agree, because this is certain. Now that, to me, it was looking like faith was the opposite of doubt. That's what it was presented to me when I was in 3rd, 4th grade at Catholic school. But what I'm knowing now as a minister in New Thought is that doubt actually is expected on your journey. What's the problem is certainty. Certainty is the problem. So when I was playing with the words, as I tend to do when I'm thinking about what to say to you guys, I knew this in my soul, that when Ernest Holmes talks about learning and practicing and becoming, what he's saying is that definitely have faith, but he also says something about practicing the principles in order to prove it to ourselves. So now we're looking at faith. Is it the same thing as knowing? Is it the same thing as believing? What's the difference? Faith and certainty, opposites. What about knowing and believing? Are those opposites too? And I think it's true. Okay, so walk with me down this path here. If the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's certainty. If that's true, we just kind of walk that through. So then the opposite of knowing is actually believing. Knowing and believing. One of these things is mental. I believe this is true. I believe it. I believe it. But knowing it feels like it's embodied. So the difference between knowing and believing, it could be in practicing what you think you learned. Practice what you think you learn. Practice what you think you know. And then it'll become more of an embodied belief system, which to me is kind of like what faith is. So, and where does doubt fit into this? Well, I'm thinking, now follow me along here, faith and doubt, they work hand in hand. One of them says, I really have this belief system, I'm learning, I'm becoming to know something, but I don't know it for sure. But I have some doubts. And then the doubts allow what you have faith in to breathe. It allows it to breathe because you're allowing questions. And I just, if I get lost in the logic because my brain is working overtime, then I just feel into it. And I'm like, what does it feel like when someone's certain that they're right and you're wrong? And no matter what you say, you could see their eyes just sort of go, mm-hmm. You can see they're waiting for you to finish talking. You are dealing with a person who is so certain they have no room for felt experience in the current moment. They're too busy trying to fit whatever you're placing in front of them into an existing certainty so they don't have to grow and they don't have to move and there doesn't have to be any room. And you'll find, as I mentioned a week ago, you'll find that a lot of wars are fought over people who are certain about something and will not be moved, will not be flexible. They'll not even doubt, what if I got part of this wrong? No doubt, then you're talking fragile, brittle, hard, encrusted belief systems that have now moved into dogma. And we talked about you'll probably need to be deprogrammed if you want to get out of it. So we need doubt. We need doubt to harness our faith so you could make sure that it's yours. You'll need the doubt. We don't need our certainty to slam the door on every new idea. That sounds like a closed mind. And even Ernest Holmes said, I have a tradition that is open at the top. If a new idea comes in or something is here to doubt, let's bring it forward. Let's go. So certainty would seek to control what faith allows doubt to help build, to help grow. So faith leaves room for your life to unfold, and certainty says, not today. If you think about it that way, then yeah, you're with me then. Now, let's discuss how this looks in practice, because another thing we teach every time we teach a course at CSL, it's all about the seed, the soil, and the plant. And so if we're talking about faith being the idea of, well, I'm going to go ahead and put this seed into a soil. In spiritual terms, I'm going to go ahead and think about what I want to bring about. I'm planting seeds for my life. And then faith says, I have faith in the whole process of life unfolding. I have an understanding of how these things work because I've tested it and I've seen it work in my life. So I shall plant this seed that has everything that it needs to be a rose bush. I'm going to go ahead and plant it in the soil. faith plants it in the soil, pats it down and provides conditions, and patiently waits. Because the knowledge and the understanding and the belief, all of that, we have a sense of the world and how it works. We have faith that we don't have to stand over the plant and yell, hurry up and grow, what are you doing? Why aren't you a rose bush yet? We know that's ridiculous. We allow the process to unfold. We had a chance to choose. We have the idea. We plant it in the soil. We work on our consciousness to create an environment that such things can unfold. And then we allow it to unfold. Having faith that it is already happening. It is already on its way. That's how we use our faith. We don't use it to, well, let's not talk about what we don't want. Like, we use our faith in ways that support what we do want. So, faith is the access to the participation. Our faith is actually supporting that it's going to grow and be fine. And if I can bring us back to the mothering person in our lives, who also sees what we are meant to be. They see it before we see it. They're nurturing us even though they don't look like they are. And shout out to the tough love moms who decide, something tells me you're going to have to sit in that decision of yours. I could come save you, but then in the long run, I won't be saving you at all. The tough love mothering figure says, I see that this too is part of your growth process. And I hold the highest for you, and I know you've got this. I'll encourage you. I'll help you with your soil, pouring more water and giving you that nourishment. But I'm not about to reach into that soil and start nudging that plant along. I'm not going to do it. Holding the highest vision for your unfoldment without reaching in there and unfolding it herself. That is the highest gift that a mothering figure can offer. To know that we're on our way, we trust, we're happy. You've got this. I'm rooting for you. Without micromanaging. Now, this is a complex platform to ride on here. If you're hearing this, you're talking about a mothering figure who sees the small child or the person who's behaving like one, let's be honest, and holds the highest vision for that person in the moment. Do they doubt? Of course mothers doubt every single moment. They're like, oh no, what if I'm not doing this right? And let's add social media to the mix. We've had some social media around for a good 2 decades, if we're really being honest. And we're looking at how everybody else seems to have everything together. And new mothers, or any sort of mother who actually has small children, we don't always feel like our Instagram reel makes us look. We're all sitting over here like, oh no, I'm exhausted today. Today I yelled at the kid. I will never forget that time. I'm in my car driving my son to the Ark Academy, where they were memorizing the Psalms. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. That was their role, to memorize this. And I think he was in maybe first grade. And so I'm in the car practicing with him, and I'm trying to help him remember. We had done it a couple days. He's kind of, I don't want to remember it. So there I am yelling at the kid because he doesn't want to recite the Bible passage, and I got that irony in the moment. I was like, oh yeah, so here I am telling my kid he's going to be nothing if he cannot remember a simple, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think this is the valley of the shadow of death, if we're being honest. So this is all of us. Every mother has what you thought you were going to do, and then what you find yourself doing, and then you're like, oh my God, I hope there's no cameras around because this is not right. And we don't share that, because if you do share it, they might send the authorities. Was that just me? So I didn't get on social media. You can't find those moments in my social media from when my son was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. No! Because I didn't want there to be a paper trail of how terrible I am as a parent. And I figured everybody else was doing so great, and I'm doing terrible. But it turns out there's a whole lot of people who are also silently suffering in private afraid to just tell the truth. So one of the people, I think you might all know her, Glennon Doyle. Glennon Doyle, an author. She went viral after she shared, and I'm going to read a little bit, a raw, unfiltered truth about motherhood and her struggle on her blog, Momastery. It's cute. Which she started in 2009 when she was a stay-at-home mom. While other moms were posting polished, perfect versions of their lives on social media, Glennon's vulnerability and honesty about her addiction, her eating disorders, messy realities of parenting, that resonated so deeply with every mother that she went viral. She has a massive online community. She wrote some books since then. And of course, her most well-known memoir is titled Love Warrior, back in 2016. And it talks about her journey of self-discovery. Turns out vulnerable is what we all feel. And when social media is showing only the polished side, there's a part that disconnects us from each other. And we think, well, that's what we're supposed to do. We're only supposed to show the good parts in polite company. You're not supposed to air your dirty laundry. Dirty laundry is exactly what resonates with everybody. We all have it. And when we all act like we don't have it, all we're doing is creating little pockets of anxiety and what's that? Thinking of a word. Anyway, it's bad. So she did that. And she founded a whole group called Together Rising. It's a nonprofit, and it raised over $4 million for women and children in crisis. So she took her willingness to be raw, honest, and sharing her difficult truths. She took it out of the SUV when she's just yelling at her kid. And unlike me, who stayed in the SUV, I didn't put that out there. She put it out there, and it saved lives. It continues to save lives. So each of us that have a self that doubts if we're doing things right, if we're even on the right path at all, or if we're the only one, if everyone else is doing it right and we're the only one, turns out there's probably hundreds or thousands of other people right around you that are so happy that you said something or that you raised your hand and pointed something out. Most people are just waiting for someone else to take that courageous lead, and then you'll find out how many people are actually resonating with you when a minute ago you felt all alone. So that's just a tiny example of how vulnerability in general is what connects us to each other. It's counterintuitive. But you'll end up with people, and I'm not saying everybody right now get on social media and expose your deepest vulnerability. I mean, baby steps. But if you think about sharing one thing, one question, even in our spiritual circles, if we have a class and someone says, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that the divine, the creator of all things, is present everywhere. Why do bad things happen to good people? How come God would allow these things to happen? And it's expected. It's a thing that we work through. And we don't expect everyone to have a certain answer and close the door on the exploration. That would be counterintuitive to the growth that Ernest Holmes said. You should read these things, read the principles, and then practice the principles in your life. Prove it to yourself. It's not enough to just believe there's one divine presence in and through and as all of us. We all can have access to abundance, wealth, and wholeness and health. If we don't act and practice on that belief, then it's just words. It needs to be lived, embodied, and then shared, but not shared through our proselytizing, not shared through evangelizing. There's nothing worse than someone knocking on your door. Let me tell you about the good news. And meanwhile, I'm a terrible person. How about you tell yourself about the good news? And then I'll follow your example if I'm attracted to it. How about that? This is why you don't see a bunch of science and mind people running around knocking on doors. If we do this right, if we believe that thing we talk about, then we're going to be acting differently. We're going to show up in a certain way that has people say, hey, what is it about you? They're going to ask us. We don't need to go and recruit. They're going to ask us, so what are you doing? And then when we're honest, they'll say, wait, so what? And then they'll take it at their pace, and then they'll learn it in their way, and they'll say it in their own words. And then it spreads. That is what we're talking about. It is not a belief. It's not a certainty. It's not a, well, the quote. Although shout out to that 23rd Psalm. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That is an awesome psalm. And there is no memorized phrase that you can say that will magically remove anything. That's not how any of this works. So when we debut this doubting self, we give breath to the nuances of truth. We keep some of these nuances backstage because we're not ready to come out as a doubtful person, a person who's not absolutely certain how it's going to turn out. No, we don't have to hide. We can also just say, well, I know the principles that I can plant a seed of what it is I do want, and I might have a little doubt that any of this works. Sure. But I also know that as things unfold in my life, I get to keep choosing what things to give my attention to. It's not a thing where I decide up front and then I hope for the best for the rest of my life. No, every moment of my life, I'm choosing again and again and again which seeds I will nurture. In each moment, I'm choosing what it is I'm thinking about. I'm allowing my ideas about my highest good to come through in everything I do. That is where even the doubt can come through and keeps me aligned. So we know that doubt is here to help us move past anywhere that we're being stuck, and we're meant to enjoy the messy as well as the polished. And let's be honest, most of it's messy. And then to be able to laugh at ourselves and not take ourselves so seriously. We can question and still belong to the group. We can feel uncertain and still practice these higher truths. We can be imperfect and still let someone love us in our imperfection. Just as long as when we doubt, we don't get stuck in the doubt. We don't think that that's the only thing that there is. We just allow room for the doubt and just keep going anyway. So on Mother's Day, here's what I want you to remember. Let's really honor the labor of love that is in front of us. That labor, it doesn't feel like labor, but sometimes it does. I mean, it's right there in the word. Giving birth, it's called labor. So yeah, sometimes it's a little tricky. It's a little tough. But it's also that presence, that waiting, that knowing, that pregnant pause, that anticipating of what is to come. There's that. That is the mothering. Holding space and having love there in all of it, with the highest look towards what's best for everyone, with the highest intuition of what's needed from me right now, right in this moment. Always forgiving, always growing, always nurturing what it is we do want. And just letting everything else be. That is the mother. And it's in all of us. So let us allow it. Let us choose faith today as not so much the absence of doubt, but faith with a little bit of doubt sprinkled in, just to keep us present. All right, let's go into prayer. Let's see what we have. We have a celebration and a request for prayer. So let's go within and just know that there is one divine energy moving in and through and as all of us. This is truth with a capital T. And that the divine energy that created its creation is living and breathing as its creation. It did not plant a seed and dip out. No, the divine planted each and every one of us and breathes in and out as each and every one of us, including all things live and inanimate. That the whole universe is the outpicturing of the divine seeing itself from every particular angle. The cool part is there's so much more than what we can see. We are part of that wholeness, that oneness, that divine being that is us. We are part of something so much bigger. And I'm so grateful to point out that we are one with the divine. We don't have to go anywhere or beseech anybody. It is already right here, right now. All gifts are given. And it is simply being in gratitude of these gifts that we've already received that causes them to flourish even that much more quick and accurately. So I speak my word for the health, the wellness, the wholeness, and the healing of Rick. That even though in this moment it appears as if there is a body with bruises and maybe some pain, that the highest truth is that that beautiful body is putting itself back into alignment with wholeness, perfection, health, and well-being. That with every breath in and out, even the doctors and Renee and all of the caretakers are just breathing love and empowerment and wholeness into that body as it repairs itself. It knows what to do. It is already doing it. And so Godspeed to all of the healthy sinews that are growing back and doing what they need to do to restore that body into the most amazing that it has ever been. I know that that is already done. And here, speaking of celebration for Tamara, who knows that her angels were there holding space for her as she navigated what could have been a terrible automobile accident, knowing that in that moment, Tamara felt the gratitude, and she feels it even now. I feel it with her, the gratitude for staying out of harm's way. And yes, both of these are God in action. Both of these are life, making life happen. That when one is in an accident, it calls forth all hands on deck, the love, the outpouring, all of the things needed to heal. And also there's that love that ensures, or the support that ensures that these things don't happen. All of it is all happening all at once. It is all God. It is all love. It is all peace. And whatever we are called to do in this moment, we do it with a smiley face because we know that we are here to love each other, raise each other up. I'm so excited that we all get to partake in this embodied oneness in whatever way looks good to us. This is where the creativity is. So I love to speak my word into the law. I can't wait to see it as it unfolds rapidly, and I just know that it is already done. I let it be right where it is. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. Now, Leah, take us home.